No Eric Musselman, no Kamani Johnson, no front tooth in Devo's mouth, and no Tays in mad foul trouble at pivotal moments. And Arkansas finds a way to beat the LSU Tigers 65-58. This is Arkansas basketball recap. I'm Daniel Price. That's Jacob Price. I think no one would know this if I didn't confess it right here. So I had to repent because I know, like, when we first started doing this, I stated that at close games down the stretch, one of the big differences between Eric Musselman teams, and I know Eric Musselman wasn't there, was that you feel like you're going to win when it's coming down the stretch and it's close. I must confess, I did not feel that way in this game. And so I have to repent for my unbelief and my doubts. I confess them. I'm sorry. I didn't feel good coming down the stretch. I was glad it was close, but I didn't feel good about us closing out. And man, we closed it out in a game that, man, I mean, this offense doesn't work without Note, not scoring. It doesn't work without him on the floor. And the amount that he wasn't on the floor, it's so incredible that we won. Because you could, like, this was the best example that you had of what this team can look like when Note's on the floor and what happens when he's not. And it's not just his shot making; it's everything. Everything falls apart. Like, it's not offensively. Defensively, our guys they're gonna play regardless of who's on the floor. Offensively, it doesn't work without Note. And I think you got a good look at why Note is playing like 38 minutes a game. And, you know, props to Coach Smart, props to the other guys. There was a long stretch. I mean, the last 7 minutes of the first half when Note had to sit down, they held it close. I mean, they found a way to lock down, play defense, not let it. We're like, hey, we're going to have to win a low scoring game. And that's what they did. And then they did the same thing. They never let it get so out of hand when Note was on the floor. You could see them crank up the defensive intensity, knowing like we don't want to get a shootout right now. And they were able to do it. And for this season, like this is a huge win.
Yeah. I mean, this game, it was all over. There's so many things to talk about with this game. I agree at the end. I mean, I did not feel good about our prospects. Big overview picture, kind of what we were talking about. We're going to be in a lot of close games. I'm surprised actually that we were able to pull this one off, and elated because we needed it so bad. I mean, it's such a big deal to get that second conference win.
Instead of going against the 12th ranked team in the country, huge win. It's a huge win. It's the kind of win that you marry that up with blowing Missouri out. Like these are two wins that you might be able to do something with that. Just confidence boosting. You're gonna go out and feel better in the next games, and this is how you get a run started, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and I don't know about how you felt, but for me, this was the most frustrating game to watch. As far as I was just absolutely wringing my hands beside myself. And it was because, I mean, I always kind of talk in terms to you about like how, you know, if you play a team 10 times, there's 10 iterations of how you play. And there's the one on the one end where you blow them out and hit everything, and the one where they do that to you, and then everything in between. And I was so frustrated because this game, I don't think LSU didn't play their best game. You know what I mean? They didn't play as good as they're capable of. And it felt to me like one of the reasons I was so frustrated is it felt like, oh, this is a game that you could get if you don't step on the sideline 3 times, just hand them the ball back over, or if you don't have their big man hit a couple of threes, bank an 18-foot jump shot off and early,
19 turnovers, bro. 19 turnovers.
Hit that floater over a Mude that was bullcrap, and then like, you know, your coach is out, so like you've got to assume that affects like some of the strategy and momentum and just sort of the fluidity of the game and stuff. And you're like, man, if we were even playing not even our best game, but if we were just playing a pretty good game, LSU is leaving this here for us to take. But you can't win this game if Note is only going to play 20 minutes because he's on the bench the whole game. It's like, that was so frustrating. And then, you know, like I said, unforced errors and turnovers. You're like, they're missing free throws. It's like they're allowing you to be in this game, and we're still going to blow it because of all of these other circumstances. And of course, I mean, the fact that they were able to, obviously Note, player of the game, doing that too early, but like, except this game was even, except for that 15-second stretch where Williams.
I was going to say, if you were about to give Note is the most important player on this team. It doesn't work without him. Note's better at basketball than you are at like probably anything that you do. And I think that this was like the most obvious display of it, where you're like, JT Note is very, very good at basketball all the way around the board. Other people don't get involved when he's like, he used to be like, well, he's just going to jack up other shots. No one gets any shots that are decent at all when he's not on the floor. You got to have him on the floor.
Well, that's what was so frustrating about what I'm saying about him sitting down, is I actually felt like in the first 5 minutes when he was playing, before he got picked up that second foul, that was as calm. I mean, he felt like he was just under control, and it was like he's taking his. I mean, they've obviously decided Devo's not going to be the point guard. Mm-hmm. Likes isn't capable of it. Who's left? It's Note. You're going to have to be the leader. You're going to have to not just be the offensive powerhouse. You're going to have to help everybody else score. And that first 5 minutes, he was, everything was perfect. If they gave him the advantage, he'd take it and hit that floater and make a jump shot. And he was distributing. He was breaking down, and he looked under control. And he looked like
the best player on the floor for either team by a large margin.
Yeah, he just looked like he could do whatever he wanted, and that's why it was so frustrating that not only was he not on there for the minutes, but like as a somebody who's played basketball, you're like, they're disrupting his flow. Like it's not guaranteed that if you sit for 8 minutes, that you're going to come back out there.
That part is remarkable, that he could come in, he would come out because you got fouls, come back in and just be like, let me do something spectacular on offense, and then pick another foul and go right back out. The fact that he was able to, like, that dude was just flipping the switch when he went on the floor and just do it. And it wasn't just making shots. He also got other people shots immediately when he goes on the floor. However, all that being said, and Note's got to play point guard on this team. It has to. Look, Devo plays as hard as anyone can possibly play. He had 5 turnovers. He did some really good things towards the end of the game. Hit a big 3, had a big steal, had a big rebound put back. And a lot of that is just him playing hard, not just freaking tooth out, and came out. He didn't look like he cared. But my guy can't be the point guard. Not yet. He had 5 turnovers. He was trying to do. I feel bad for him. I felt bad for him. Honestly, you see when Note was out, he would try to penetrate that defense, because in the beginning of the game, our drive and kick was looking nice, like way nicer than it has. I'm like, oh, here we go. Like Note is running the point. He's going to collapse in defense. We're driving and kicking. We're driving and collapsing baseline. We're going to start doing it this way. I love it. And, when Note would go out, it's up to Devo to do that. And he just can't do it the same way that Note can. Not because Devo's a bad basketball player or anything. It's just, he's not Note. He's not as good as him.
Well, it's because that, especially against a really, really aggressive defense like LSU has, you can't do that if you don't have all the tools, which is to say, if they're not concerned about your off the dribble step back 30-foot 3-pointer, it's way harder. It's way harder to drive. Note's a nightmare to guard, because you have to be up in his pocket all the time, or he'll shoot what you saw. The 2 times that they even didn't switch good and even super quick, I thought he was going to hit that second one, which was a terrible shot, except for the fact that he just made it a second before that. But yeah, it's not Devo's fault. He just doesn't have all of those tools in his arsenal. It makes him easier to guard.
And if that's what they're trying to run, he is probably the next guy to do it, because Light's just too small to pass out of those situations. And so that's the point I'm making, is that, like, I think Devo could just be great. You saw what Devo can do when Note's on the floor, being that hustle guy, doing the stuff that you want him to do. But I still got to say, all that about Note, which is Note's MVP of the team. Note might be MVP of the conference. He's like, Note's got, unless we just suck and like lose a bunch of games. Note's got to be in the conversation for SEC Player of the Year. He's leading the league in scoring and steals. That's ridiculous. But this particular game, dude, Jalen Williams was such a stud in this game. I mean, and it's not just, dude, it's this line where you're gonna give me 11 points, 13 rebounds, 3 steals, and then you're gonna draw 4 charges. Dude, I mean, like that dude hit huge rebounds, hit huge charges, huge
Well,
ones.
like I said, I mean, dude, that literally, it was a 15-second stretch that completely changed the end of that game where I could not believe he shot that 3-pointer. It's like, you don't need a 3, and you're gonna. I mean, he was wide open. I mean,
yeah, that was just like even. It seems to me that Jalen Williams is about as humble of a basketball player as there is. Like, that's just his demeanor. Now, I don't know him, but that's the impression I get, right? But he was so open that he was even offended.
But for him he tapped that ball to himself, caught it falling down, threw it off the back of the other guy.
Yeah.
That goes down, hits a 3, 5 seconds later, draws a charge 5 seconds after that under the basket to have it be a turn.
Game over.
Like, game over. Like, I mean, and when you're in those close games, that's what you need. You need one tiny section for a player to just do something amazing, and that's the difference in the game. I mean, like I said, we needed everybody else to play well and Note to be crazy to be there. And honestly, I mean, like I said, I don't think LSU played as good as they're capable of, but
they played good defense. They played defense, dude. That's for sure. I mean, I would say this: as LSU didn't really. They played great offensively. I think Arkansas played pretty good defense. I think our defense looked good.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is the last, what was it? I mean, 6 minutes, LSU couldn't score a field goal. It was just,
we were locking down.
Yeah, we went on a 10-0 run there for a second, but yeah, I mean, and dude, I was so happy about it because Will Wade annoys me really bad.
Dude, that guy is like dad bod coach extraordinaire. No,
is that his name? Is his name Will Wade? Is it?
Yeah.
That dude. Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Just be a fat guy or don't, but don't pick one. You know what I mean? Like, don't have skinny arms and head and put it on like Pappy O'Donnell from Oh Brother Where Art Thou's torso. Like, what are you doing? Get a better body. Like, it's fine to be a chunky guy. Just go ahead, but like, don't do both. It looks weird.
That's where we lose all 14 of our subscribers, sir. We're gonna lose them for body shaming, probably.
No, just Will Wade.
It's just Will Wade.
I don't know. Well, like,
he's just I don't know what it is about him. Like, he is obnoxious as all get out, dude.
He might be a great guy personally, but like, everything I've seen of him, he just looks like an absolute jerk. And like, little things like, I kind of get it. It was weird that Devo didn't shoot the free throw, but the complaint should be, hey, why is he not shooting the free throw? Not, he can't come back in. I mean, even if it's technically the rule, it's like, the guy just had his tooth knocked out. Oh, who cares if he's in this possession or on the next ball stoppage?
Yeah,
like,
weird.
Like,
it's like, hey, if he's fine, why didn't he shoot the free throw? Because he's bleeding out of his mouth and his teeth. They're like wrapping his tooth up and putting it somewhere. That's why. Like, what kind? You don't understand what's happening here? Like, oh, he couldn't just run back out there because they had to stop the bleeding where his tooth just got knocked out. Like, that's a ridiculous argument.
To me, as a person and a coach, you just kind of go, you might go, oh wait, can he come in if he didn't shoot the free throw? I didn't think that. I thought that was against the rules. But then you go, well, what? I mean, the guy just have his freaking tooth knocked out. So, and my guy did foul the crap out of him in a dangerous position, and we didn't, and I think it's all good, hard play, but like, you could kind of be like, well, we didn't get any technical foul or anything, so
yeah,
let's let bygones be bygones. Note missed one of the. No, he didn't. He took one that I forgot. I thought he missed one, but he was just like shooting, warm up shots or whatever. But
the point is like they let Note shoot the free throws, which of course they did. You can't have a guy who's bleeding out of his mouth shoot the free throws. And then what? You're going to argue that you want Note on the floor, and you don't want, because you don't want Devo coming back in. Like, and why?
Yeah.
Would you want
it's
that?
just one of those things where you're like, I feel like a lot of coaches would just be like, guy had his tooth knocked out by our player fouling him in a dangerous, like, we'll just forget about it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, getting into some of these numbers anyway. First of all, good job, Keith Smart. Also, good job taking over, and
Because that beginning, that start was not good. And
well, we did not have the come out in the second half and fall apart. It didn't happen. Like, this was like one of the first games where it did not happen. I mean, obviously the Missouri game didn't happen, but in a close game, same scenario. Like, dude, this was so the scenario. Like, we're gonna go into this half down by 2. Oh, yes, we are. Like, you're like, I've seen this movie before. I don't like this. I don't like it. And we did not come out and fall apart, even though Note picked up that foul, had to go back out. I was like, well, here we go.
That moment where they got up by 8 and the crowd was roaring and we had to call a timeout. I mean, like I said, that's smart. I mean, that's a good timeout. And we came back out and they played really strong defense and calmed down. And I mean, it was ugly. There was like a 10-minute stretch in there from like minute 12 to minute 4. Well, it's not 10 minutes, obviously, but where that was ugly. I mean, it was good defense, but just nobody could make a shot. And we just slowly crawled back into that.
Yeah. So talking about the defense, I mean, we turned the ball over 19 times, which is that's crazy. You can't have 19 turnovers. That's 10 too many turnovers. They also turned the ball over 16 times. And that's part of the reason why we're in the game. And I do think that what you did see is two pretty. Now, Arkansas isn't always great on defense, but they seem to be figuring it out on defense, because that's how they're realizing that's how they're going to be in games. Because I think it was pretty obvious, especially the first half. We can't rely on shooting the ball. And so we do need to turn you over. We do need to have you shoot a crappy field goal percentage, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, we turned the ball over 19 times. We did force 16 turnovers. So that's good. We were a lot better from the free throw line than they were, which was good. We made 5 of 19, they made 5 of 19 from the 3-point line. We made 5 of 17. So and I thought our 3-point defense was good the second half. The first half, there was a couple of times when those corner shooters, like where the only critique I would have of Jalen Williams is there was a couple of times where he was sort of trapped in between and didn't just run the dude off the line, which he might be told not to do that. And depending on who that guy is, I don't know. So I don't want to put that on him.
I think that was a personnel specific. Like you could tell he had been told not let that guy shoot, but that one guy that hit those shots, because you could tell that guy didn't want to shoot. I can't remember who he was. Maybe look it up. I don't know what his percentage is, but he didn't. He was like Williams out there, where he catches it, got in the pocket, and was like waiting for the defense to come out so he could drive. And you could tell he didn't want to shoot. And that was one of those things where I was wanting to kill myself, because you could tell he was hesitant. We baited him. He shot it. It didn't look like a clean shot. I could be wrong. Maybe I'll look this guy up later, and he's a great 3-point shooter. It didn't look like it to me. It looked like he had a, weak shot and it rattled in, and I was like, good Lord.
It happened 3 times, where he kind of jumped out at him a little bit, but like I said, I don't know what the assignments were, or how they coached that. Typically, and it would be unlike Jalen if he wasn't told to do that, because I would assume you just run him off the line. But so they didn't shoot well from the 3-point line, neither did we, which we never do. But I thought our 3-point defense was pretty good. I thought our defense overall was good. I do think that JD being in foul trouble, I thought the first half, particularly, not so much the second half, but the first half, the refs were just calling weak stuff. And I don't even mean it was like one way or the other. I just meant like they were calling some stuff that you were like, that's pretty weak, man.
Well, the foul trouble was a bummer. I mean, I was getting very concerned in the second half. And like I said, I don't know if they were, I'm not saying there wasn't any particular one where I was like, that was definitely not a foul, but it was just, I was looking at it, and I think with 13 minutes left, we had 9 fouls. I was like, dude, we're going to be shooting double bonus for the whole last 10 minutes of this game. And luckily LSU obliged us by not hitting a bunch of those, but and it didn't end up, the refs did seem to kind of let them play a little bit more in this
Mhm.
last 10 minutes. I
Yeah.
think it was just because once you get into that double bonus or in that, like the refs kind of realize that it's more impactful, and it's like you got to be a little bit more careful about calling little touch fouls or whatever.
I do think with Arkansas, the scrappier the refs allow the game to be, advantage Arkansas.
Mhm.
It does seem that
Yeah.
way because we want to play that way anyway, you know. So I don't think it's a good thing for Arkansas when refs decide they're going to call a really close game. If they're going to call it tight, I don't think that's probably good for Arkansas. And they did call it a lot tighter the first half. It felt like than the second.
I'll tell you what.
I guess Kamani Johnson. I don't know how long he's hurt for. He did have an ankle injury. I did hear Must say that, and I assume that's why that he wasn't in that starting lineup and didn't play. They didn't say anything about it on the broadcast, but I assume they would have just copy and pasted that lineup into this game, but they couldn't. And so Mude got that start. But other than that, they decided just to go with it. And I assume they're going to do that again. Like, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't. I think at this point, I like it doesn't make in some ways, it doesn't make a lot of sense because you really have kind of one ball handler on the floor with Note. And then you're surrounding them by these sort of 3, 4, 5 guys that, you know, these forwards and post players. And, but it seems to work for what they want to do. And I think that we might have figured that out, and that might be what we're doing. And then you bring Devo off the bench, and I think that's working.
Yeah. I definitely think, I mean, right now, either Note or Likes has to be on the court all the time, because even though Likes is obviously, you know, you're much diminished with him at the point guard position, I thought he actually did a pretty decent job when Note went out in the first half. I thought he did a good job. I mean, he only ended up with like 6 points, but he was breaking down the defense. And even though it actually didn't turn into a lot of points, he hit a couple of guys and made some good passes that could have, you know, if they knocked them. There was a one time where he threw that ball, I mean, did that amazing move and spin and kicked it out, and they just missed the shot. And then that other one where he jumped in and he dumped it down to Tony, and the guy knocked it out of Tony's hands.
Well,
but he was
Tony
out of bounds.
he kind of bobbled it, which gave the guy the opportunity to recover on defense. But
still, like
good pass though. Then when the pass wasn't the problem.
Right. And so I thought Likes actually did do a serviceable job of holding the fort. But there was the period where we got down by 8. I don't know why. And I was kind of questioning Smart's thinking, because Note was on the bench and Likes was on the bench. And that's when Devo and that other guy were trying to, who was the other point guard he put in there for a second.
Well, he had Devo in there, and then he had KK Robinson out there for just
they were both
second.
taking turns, and it was just not even, we weren't even getting shots. It was just turning into turnovers.
Yeah.
Also, the thing people kept saying early in the year, like where they would say about Tony, they'd say, you know, they don't run any plays for him, and he just gets, it's like, yeah, I realize that's a compliment and an insult, because you can't run plays for Tony. You do not want him making decisions with the ball. Like,
right.
If you throw him the ball 17 feet and he starts to dribble drive, someone needs to go grab it from him, because it's a turnover almost every time. That guy can't, I mean, he can't pass. No. And I mean, and I don't blame him. I mean, some guys just can't. I mean, he's great at being aggressive, and he ended up with like 13 points or something like that. He had a lot of important tips and putbacks. Also stepped on the out of bounds line twice in the exact same spot. Don't.
Yeah, that was weird. Their team did it too. Like that was weird.
Well, but the only thing I'll say about that is a lot of our turnovers, thankfully, weren't. Some of them were, but there was a large percentage of them that weren't painful fast break turning into points on the other end turnovers. A couple of them did, but at least if you step out of bounds on your side of the ball, it doesn't turn into live ball turnovers. You know what I mean? Still very frustrating to just throw a possession in the toilet, but could have been worse. When you hear 19 turnovers, you know, not all turnovers are equal, and you hear 19, it's like, well, you lost that game. Would they score 30 points on 19 turnovers or something? But I mean, I don't know how mmany points they did score off our turnovers, but I'll bet it was surprisingly low for how many we had.
Yeah. I mean, I thought Tony played well, other than the 4 turnovers. You know,
Yeah, him and Devo actually were very similar. Super aggressive, great defense, hands all over tips and stuff, rebounds, putbacks, important.
how big was that? How big was
too many
that?
turnovers.
How big was that offensive rebound on the free throw by Amude to go back up and get it?
Even that, Tony caused that. Like
Yep.
Tony's pressure on that guy was causing him to have to pull him off with one. And I think Tony might have even kind of tapped it. So it went,
yeah, he got his hand on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like I said, not trying to crap on Tony, but everything, just maybe watch the turnovers. Know thyself. Don't dribble the ball and try to make like passing plays from 16 feet.
And even though Trey Wade only had 2 points, I still like him on the floor.
Oh yeah, I thought he did a lot of really good stuff. He played really good defense. He again had a lot of these like little taps underneath where he wasn't the one that ended up with the rebound. Williams did, but they were still having to, Williams got the rebound because they're fighting with Wade down there.
What do you think is going on with the Jackson Robinson not playing at all, starting a couple of games, didn't play at all today? Is that just them saying this is sort of the identity we're gonna have with this team, and he just doesn't fit it because he's not able to play that? He's not the defender those other guys are. Is it just the defense? Because I mean, obviously, you're like, man, I'd love to have another shooter on the floor. That would be nice, and they just can't do it if they want to play that style.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I haven't watched him specifically enough and noticed him like getting completely eaten up on defense, but I'm guessing whatever system they're, the little things that we can't see that they're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? I'm assuming he just doesn't do them as effectively or makes mistakes. But I mean, I haven't noticed him like
he is the youngest player on the roster too. I mean, he's 19 years old. So I mean, that could be part of it too. He might just not. It might not have all clicked yet. Like this, he might just not understand what they're all the plays, all the sets, everything they're trying to do. So that could be part of it. It could just be a maturity thing.
Dude, Devo's tooth, that must have been like a tooth that he already had pulled, and it was like a replacement or some kind of cap or something.
I think that they just popped that whole sucker out, man.
Because like, dude, it would hurt to knock you, like your real full grown adult front tooth, just knock it out.
You would think it's probably, maybe it's less painful than breaking it. Just knock that thing straight out.
Oh man, dude. I mean, I've had a tooth pulled before, and they don't come out that easy.
I know. Well, dude, that fall, I mean,
could have been worse.
It could have been
could have like broke his orbital socket or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that was a nasty fall. I mean, when you see a guy go horizontal, I mean, he went horizontal about 7 feet off the ground, and just how you like to just fall straight down 7 feet. And he broke that as well as you can break that.
Yeah, he's lucky he wasn't like twisting or anything, because that's like he was able to catch himself.
Yeah, that's how you break
in the push-up position. Or yeah, he could have fractured his arm or anything, folded it up underneath him. Yeah, dude, I'm stoked. I loved it. I mean, I was screaming at my TV and stressed out, and that game, I feel exhausted. It was just I was worn out and expected them to lose that game, honestly.
And I should know better. I mean, they played great. I mean, the last couple of minutes, they look like a team they look like a real good basketball team. Team that team that's doing all the things you have to do to win games. That's what it looked like down the stretch. And so good on them. I like the schedule going forward. So, we're 2-3 in the SEC now. We got 2 home games in a row. So we get to play South Carolina on Tuesday. And then we got Texas A&M revenge game on Saturday at Bud Walton. Man, I say, let's go get both of those bad boys at home and get in the above 500 column in conference play. I'm here for it, man. And it does seem like, I mean, kind of some of the stuff that you were saying does seem like it sort of is happening. It took some games, but I don't want to announce like that we have figured it out. We have arrived, but I don't have any problem saying they figured some of it out.
Mm-hmm. I mean, bad news for us is we are not deep. Like
especially offensively.
I mean, if Note goes down,
Yeah.
it's a wrap. I mean, you know what I mean? Like that's going to be, I mean, I shouldn't say that. You never know who could step up, but like that, he looks so vital for this team. And probably, honestly, I mean, you couldn't really lose.
You can't lose Jalen.
No, I mean, there's any of the guys really hurt. I mean, even Devo, as underwhelming as I feel like Devo's play has been, you still got to have that guy on defense, and making some of those off the ball aggressive tapping the ball around, getting your hands on passes play. And there's not really another guy with that same ability on the team, but yeah, I mean, dude, no, for sure. If we go on and win then like a couple of games and this ends up being a decent season, you guys got to start taking betting advice from me or something, because that was like a prophecy. I mean, it's too early. I didn't think they would win that game, and I'm still very careful about South Carolina. I mean, I know they've been losing, but dude, I mean, you cannot sleep on them. I mean, Vanderbilt came in and beat us.
You can't sleep on any SEC teams. I like that they seem to figure some stuff out. They just beat the 12th ranked team in the country on the road. Perfect time for 2 home games.
Frank Martin scares me.
Yeah.
And now that he shaved his head, he's even scarier. Like he looks like a Batman villain. Like, and he is intense. He went from looking like a mob boss to looking like a Batman villain. But he gets his team, like he may not have the most talented team, but they're gonna ball hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all right,
man. Let's leave it there. Woo pig. This I'm glad that we were able to get this one. This was needed.
For sure. It was amazing.
All right, man. We'll see you next time.
All right, dude. See ya.